Good evening. You're watching the news on Croatian television. Croatian fishermen from Savudrije Bay have received assurances from the government that they can continue doing business as usual, following a meeting this afternoon in Zagreb. Agriculture Minister Tomislav Tolušić, along with state secretaries from the Foreign, Interior and Justice ministries, vowed to protect local fishermen operating in the bay, despite Slovenia's attempts at unilaterally implementing a controversial arbitration court ruling.
What this means is that Croatian fishermen will be able to go about their business like they have done until now. This means that the maritime border demarcation line between Croatia and Slovenia passes through the middle of the bay. I will only say one thing. As of tonight, we can sleep easy, and that is that. Fishermen can freely and without fear go about their work. The country is definitely behind us on this.
Prime Minister Andrej Plenković commented on the ongoing border dispute with Slovenia and once again called for dialogue. At the same time, the Prime Minister said a long-term solution was close at hand.
We continue to call on Slovenia to refrain from taking any unilateral action and that it refrain from any unnecessary incidents. It is absolutely no problem for our police patrol boats to register Slovenian boats that foray into our territorial waters. What we said and what we will adhere to is that we will maintain the practice of avoiding incidents. The least of our concerns are the fines Slovenia is threatening to issue. We can issue fines as well, and if it comes to that, we will act accordingly. But we reiterate our call to Slovenia to continue our dialogue in the vein of what we offered them during Slovene Prime Minister Miro Cerar's recent visit to Zagreb. Croatia is not taking any unilateral action and has been very restrained in trying to resolve this issue in the best possible way and in line with international law. I think that we are much closer to a solution than it seems.
Meanwhile, in Ljubljana, at the annual meeting of Slovenian ambassadors, Foreign Minister Karl Erjevec reiterated that Slovenia insists on the immediate and full implementation of the controversial ruling. Failing such a move, the minister said that Slovenia would block Croatia from joining the Schengen border regime and the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development.
Croatia obviously has no idea what the consequences will be for them on the ground if they do not respect the arbitration court ruling, and specifically what it will do to their foreign policy goals. As you know, Croatia is a candidate to join the Schengen area. Until they decide to implement the arbitration court ruling, they will not be a part of the Schengen area, especially as long as I am in government.
Parliament Speaker Gordan Jandrokovic announced that Parliament will reconvene on January 17th following their annual winter recess. Over 100 items will be on the agenda, as well as the adoption of Parliament's new rules of procedure and the Code of Ethics for representatives.
I expect the ruling coalition to propose and adopt new legislation, and our job is to support the good laws and criticize the bad ones. I expect things will change for the better and that the new rules of procedure will not put any restraints on the ability of the opposition to speak out.
The government has put into parliamentary procedure a new law on agricultural land. The legislation will allow farmers to increase their farmland and enable the state to activate unused parcels of agricultural land. Also, 11 companies were removed from the list of companies of strategic importance to the Croatian economy. Meanwhile, both the ACI chain of marinas and the national air carrier, Croatia Airlines, were added to the list. Nearly 1,200 people in Croatia are currently infected with the common flu virus. Experts continue to advise people to get the regular flu shots, adding that the flu season will peak in 2 to 3 weeks' time. In related news, Health Minister Milan Kujundžić said the Croatian population was still relatively well immunized against measles, despite a steady drop in vaccinations over the past 5 years. He also said the chances were minimal of a measles outbreak spreading over from Serbia, where 2 people have died in the past 4 weeks. The minister reminded parents to have their children vaccinated.
The message I would like to send to parents is to respect the scientific findings of the World Health Organization, which states that the risks associated with vaccinations are much lower than choosing not to vaccinate.
Taking a quick look at sports, Austria's Marcel Hirscher has won his 4th title at the men's competition of Zagreb's Snow Queen Trophy World Cup slalom race. The 28-year-old crossed the line in only 5/100ths of a second ahead of fellow Austrian Michael Matt, and only 11/100ths in front of third-placed Henrik Kristoffersen of Norway. In tennis, Croatia's top player Marin Cilic is off to a good start to this season after advancing to the semi-finals of the Maharashtra Open in India. Cilic, the tournament's top seed, beat Frenchman Pierre-Hugues Herbert in straight sets, and Cilic's next match will be against Gilles Simon of France. Meanwhile, Borna Coric failed to advance at the ATP tournament in Doha, losing to 20-year-old Russian Andrei Rublev in 2 sets after only 90 minutes of action. The weather forecast for tomorrow calls for partly to mainly cloudy skies with rain in places, especially the northern Adriatic. Morning showers are likely in central and eastern parts of the country. A southeasterly wind will gain strength overnight with gale-force gusts in places during the morning and even stronger in the afternoon. Seas wavy and visibility poor due to lingering fog in the morning along the northern Adriatic. Morning lows of 2 to 7 inland and from 6 to 10 on the coast will give way to highs of 9 to 14 degrees Celsius around the country. Temperatures are set to rise significantly over the weekend and into the early part of next week. Parts of the interior may see unprecedented highs for this time of year. Mostly sunny skies are in the forecast for central and eastern parts of the country with no precipitation. Coastal regions and parts of the Dalmatian hinterland could still expect rain. Strong winds are expected on Sunday and Monday. A strong to very strong southeasterly with hurricane-strength gusts in places may close maritime traffic for some vessels. Temperatures will be above average for this time of year. Nighttime and early morning temperatures will be steady and only a few degrees off of daytime highs. And that brings us to the end of our program. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow night.